tell you how I'm feeling today. It's like my well has been filled. I mean, majorly filled. Quilt show has been over, and we're into the week after quilt show. And I was so inspired by all of the quilts. I just can't get over everyone who submitted quilts. Thank you, because I am just like so jazzed right now, just jazzed. Oh, and by the way, I found this iced tea, unsweetened iced tea at Trader Joe's, pomegranate and blueberry. Yum, yum, yum. So this is the first day since Quilt Show, which was last Saturday, that I have had like a full day without one thing scheduled in it. And all I wanted to do was just sit and start something in the beehive, because you know, up until the Quilt Show, everything's geared towards that in some way, especially when you are always far behind like I am. And I just wanted to begin a brand new project. I mean, I was just so inspired. I can't even quite express it except just to scream it. I was inspired by what I saw. And so I came home and thought about, what am I going to do? And there was a project that I absolutely loved, and it's been sitting waiting for me, and I said, today is dedicated to that project. And it is a Timeless Traditions, a Norman Wally pattern called Remember the Giver. Let's see if you can get a good... It's a wall hanging, and it's only 38 by 38, so it's not a big one, but it has 9 blocks, and I went for it. I had bought the kit from Old World Quilt Shop in Cave Creek, and because I fell in love with their sample, and I'm sure they still have kits, so you can call them up. But what I did this morning was I made my 4 corner blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I sewed them together, and it's a combination of cotton and this kind of woven fabric. And so what I did was I sewed them together, and then I put the SF101 on the back, because this woven, as you can see right here, it's raveling a little bit, and I knew I was going to be stitching wool on here, and I wanted the blocks to not get smaller from all the raveling, so I just, and look at how nice my back looks. None of my seams show. So I went ahead and backed my blocks, and it's so lightweight that it's not going to be a bit of a problem as far as needling my bees. Now in the 4 corners there are bumblebees, because you know we're about the bees, that I have to place here. And now I am, and they sent the wool, which is yummy, and so now I'm using my soft fuse. And that was another thing I wanted to talk to you about. It didn't occur to me really until I taught the buttermilk basin class at Quilters Affair that some students live in areas where soft fuse might be a challenge to get to stick. I'm not sure how it's affected by humidity. I know my girlfriend Robin took some stitching with her down to Ecuador and on a medical mission, and it got all gummy. So I am not sure. So I think that if there's another fusible that works for you better, then use what works for you. None of us even the professional teachers are quilting gods that know everything. A lot of it is trial and error. And so I know that sometimes, occasionally, my soft fuse might lift up a bit, and then I just staple that piece down, or I make it the next piece I stitch. And if you decide to staple a piece down, know that if you take a staple remover, you can't tell in wool where those holes are. You just brush it a little bit with your fingernail and it's gone. So now what I'm doing, because the soft fuse works for me, is that I am cutting my pieces out. Here's my wings, my body, my bee head, and then the legs and the antennae and the stinger are all embroidered. And what I'm doing for the stripes, so if you see here, the bee bodies have stripes on them, is I fused a piece of soft fuse on a chunk of black wool, and then I measured the pattern, and the stripes were about 1/4 of an inch, and then I just cut up that piece that I fused into 1/4 inch strips, and then I'm going to just lay it across and cut them off and fuse them onto the bodies. So that's what I plan to do, and I'll show you when I get my blocks situated, and then I'm going to move on to prep the background blocks for the other pieces, and they're all a little bit different, so it's going to be kind of fun. I have wanted to make this project forever, and so I think that's the thing, you have to not have judgment for yourself. Eventually you'll get around to it, and it's bringing me such joy to have this day. I mean, when you have to talk so much because you're teaching or you're involved in the evening programs, a day like this where I'm not even listening to my audio book while I'm sewing, I am making it totally a peaceful, centered gift to myself. And I think that you might want to try that sometimes you don't have to have the conversation or have the answers. All you need is your own company and a little bit of fabric. So that's what I'm doing today. Stay tuned. I'll show you when I get the bees attached, or as I'm attaching them. Whichever, whatever. Today's my day and yours. I want to show you how I decided to do the bee bodies. So I have my bee bodies all cut out, and I have them laid out on my wool mat. And I have the little stripes all stripped up with fusible on the back of them. And so I've been cutting out this body, the stripes, as I lay them on the body. So I'm laying it across the body, and then I'm slicing it off, leaving the fusible on the back of the bee body, but taking the fusible off of the little black stripe. And then I lay it on there. And I'm not necessarily cutting it perfectly. I'm just kind of getting it in the ballpark. And I decided to go with 4 stripes. Always trying to figure out a process that makes it easier to do. And I'm not being real fussy about the way I cut the black stripes. I just make sure that there is a little bit overhanging the body because I can trim it after I fuse it. Once I fuse it down, then I trim any of the black stripe that's hanging over the body so it fits better. And then it'll be ready when I am ready to fuse it to the actual block. I will then peel the back of the fusible off of the body. So, because there's a lot of stripes to deal with, and one of the things that might make it a little easier is if you have some kind of crochet hook or something to move your pieces around a little bit, however you want them, before you fuse them on. And they don't have to be exact, because I don't think there is a bee dresser who's looking at how your bee is dressed. Yeah. Very cute. So I'm going to just keep doing all the bodies, and then I'm going to fuse them all at once, and then I'm going to trim them up, and then we're ready to cut out their little heads. Hey, I'm down here. What I did was I went ahead and peeled the back paper off of the black stripes, and then I just laid them across and cut them roughly. And then I situated them with this little, it looks like a tatting tool of some kind. So I did that, and then I'm going to fuse the black pieces to the bee body. Do it all at once. Let's see. Yep, they're kind of stuck to there. So it looks like that. And then what I'm going to do is take my scissors and just trim the stripes so they match the bee body. And then I'll have my bee bodies all done. Now when I go to stitch this, I most likely am going to stitch the black stripes first because that'll hold the body down. So there's the next step. Good morning. Well, we're on to the next step, which is to fuse the bees in the four corners of the blocks. And you know, I cut out all my bee parts and they go on these four corners. What I really want to share with you is this project, whatever project you do, is your own. Sure, there was a designer that put some work into it, a lot of work into it, and but the bottom line is, it is actually your project, and you can tweak it and change it any way you want, and I am guaranteeing you that there is no designer police out there that is going to come and reprimand you because you didn't follow the directions exactly, because that is kind of what I'm all about. I am not a designer, and I so appreciate the work that goes into these, but in reality, it's going to live in my life, and so I have to make it be okay for me. So in this particular project, this is what the bee pattern for the four corners look like. Well, you can tell it was just a little doodle done. You know, it's not perfect, it's not measured, there's no instructions as far as, well, it does tell you how long each piece should be, but really all I did was I traced that bee onto my soft fuse. And then now I'm going to be putting it onto the four corners of my blocks. Well, when I laid it out, I just thought to myself, the bee's head is too elongated. My bee needs to have a round head and round wings to match me. I am round, and so I did not like my glamour bee that was more elongated. My bees need to be a little bit on the chubby looking side. So even after I cut all of my pieces out, I started rounding them with my scissors as I put them on. And so what I came up with was this. I like the round wings. I don't like these pointed wings. I like them rounded at the tips. I like their little heads to be round, not pin heads. So that's what I'm saying, is that you need to make a project make you happy. Not make me happy, not make the designer happy, not make the judge happy, but you. And I am really happy with my round bees, with their round wings and their round bodies. So that's what I'm doing today, is I am going to attach the bees to the other 3 blocks so they're ready to stitch. And remember, I put that SF101 on the back so my linen, my woven fabric won't start raveling. And then they'll be ready for stitching on the road, because that's what we're all about, Quilt Roadies. Stay tuned. Good morning. Well, I don't know, I woke up with so much energy this morning, which is great because we are having to accomplish quite a bit. Lots of news on the Quilt Roadie and Beehive front or back, whichever you prefer. G and I are planning our next camping trip, and the surprising news is we have again changed our life in terms of how we want to live it. And I guess that is, I guess when you get a little older, you're maybe if you don't remember, you can't remember what you decided yesterday, let alone an hour ago. So you keep reevaluating your life, because this is you can feel that tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, and there's just so much to do and enjoy and experience. So what that means is we've changed our mode of camping again. Boys and their toys. So when we started Quilt Roadies, we were in a I don't know what you'd call it, but it was an RV, a small RV, a 24-foot RV. And now we went to our trailer, which we absolutely love. And there's no downside to a creekside trailer. Don't get me wrong. That trailer is well made, and we have had a blast in it. And it was 20 feet. And now we are moving skinnier and about the same length into a van. Yes, we are going to start van camping. And the reason we have done that, and we'll do a video and show you how we're going to fit my sewing into a van. I have no idea, but we will be sharing that with you. And the real reason why we have gone down smaller is we want more flexibility, and you know, because we want to do more. We have less time, so we want to do more. And the van will fit in a regular parking space. It's the size, you know, it'll fit in a regular, any parking space out there, it'll fit into. And camping wise, there's going to be more opportunity to just kind of pick up and go. You know, even with the trailer, as small as it was, we had to do a lot of planning ahead. There wasn't a lot of spontaneity with the trailer because you had to kind of figure out where you were going to find a place to stop and camp, and how easy is it to get in and out of grocery, because you're and then having to unhook the truck and go if you need to go groceries and stuff, where the van is just simpler, because there's no it's one step simpler. Some people would think those quilt roadies are freaking crazy, but I'm thinking, and G is extremely excited, that there'll be flexibility in terms of, we can just pick up and go, and if we can't find, like if you get to an area and you want to camp, and there's no campsites till the next day or something, you can just park it anywhere because it fits in a parking space. So you could overnight it in a Cracker Barrel or a Walmart, or, you know, any of those places that allow you just to stay for a night. So we're thinking that it might give us more flexibility. It's going to take a lot more efficiency as far as what you take in it, because it does not have, it has storage, but not the near storage that the trailer had. So I am working hard on prepping, so that I have lots to keep me occupied, because you know what happens when I'm not occupied, the ugly in me comes out. Yeah, we don't want to see that. We don't want to see that. So I have been in prepping mode, getting ready for our next camping trip, our next time on the road here. And I have really gone hog wild on this, as this video has been I've been showing you previous days on this video, because this video is a multi-day video because I keep getting interrupted. This block that I'm prepping now you saw all the B blocks. Oh my God, they're so cute. But this is the center block. Now, if you see on this pattern, there is script at the top. Remember the giver. I am not great. Although I did get an A in penmanship when I was in grammar school. I had beautiful penmanship, and I always got an A. That may have been the only A I got, but I always got an A on penmanship. And but as an adult, and maybe it's all those charts that I had to chart on, my penmanship, and then we moved to computerized charting, and then I forgot how to write my name. So penmanship is not my best thing now, and unlike my friend Robin, who has beautiful script and can do anything, I cannot. So this is what I'm going to show you I do, and probably some of you already know how to do it, but this is how I do it. So the designer, Norma Wally, has already written in nice penmanship what she wants written at the top of the block. Now, truly, if you want to write I'm the best quilter, you can write that too. Or, you know, You know, I don't even have to write that. I could write the beehive. Yeah, I could. I could do it. Why not personalize it? I personalize everything I do anyway. But let me show you how this can be done. Say you wanted to do this. You get a box of this press and seal, you know, when you're actually a cook and you have leftovers. You buy this stuff, and I'm going to peel off a piece of it. This is why I'm not a cook. I can't even. What am I doing here? Okay, I wanna get a piece of this off. So this stuff is awesome when you're a cook because it seals. You just press and seal it, and it seals your leftovers in the bowl without having to have all that Tupperware. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually sticking this to my paper right there, and I'm going to make sure the sticky side is down, though. That would help. Oh, maybe there it doesn't matter, huh? But I'm going to stick it to that paper like that, and then I'm going to take a Sharpie pen. Let's see, do I have a Sharpie pen or a let's see. Yeah, here's a Sharpie pen, fine Sharpie pen, and I'm going to trace the handwriting that's already printed on this paper onto the press and seal. This is one of those moments where you stick your tongue out so it gets the perfect handwriting. Okay, so I have written on the press and seal, remember the giver. Now I'm just going to peel this off. And you see the writing is on the press and seal. And then I'm going to press this onto my fabric and kind of line it up like she has it written there. So the R is kind of hanging over here in the center above the flower, but I got to be below my 1/4 inch seam. And then you just kind of, after that ink has dried, you just kind of smooth it out, and it literally, I'm going to cut this excess off just because I know it'll drive me crazy. You don't have to cut the excess off. This is just one of my, I have some peculiarities. Those of you that have been around here for a while might have noticed what they were. Don't tell anyone. Okay. So this is going to stick on there. And then I can just embroider. Now sometimes what I'll do, just because I worry about it, like it's sticking to my hand and stuff like that, and I don't want it to move, is I'll just put a little pin like that, because actually this is going to be traveling, so I don't want it to, end up stuck to a hubcap or something. So now I have it pinned, and then I can just start embroidering and not have to worry about writing on my fabric, or how do I see through this to trace it onto my fabric. I'm too afraid to freehand write on my fabric in case my handwriting isn't so good. And so this is how I do it. And you can use this stuff on wool, like if you want to stitch script on wool, It's a great way to write out your sentence, whatever you want to write, and then write it on the press and seal, and then stick it on the wool, and then hand embroider it right over the top of it. And then when you hand embroider it, you and you're all done, you just peel it off. And sometimes I use a little, you know, like this is a, what is this? Oh, this is a crochet hook, like for a mini person. That's a little. And I'll pick all the little plastics that might be stuck around my embroidery. But it has saved me and made less stress when I'm embroidering. So that's how you're going to do that. If you're scared like I am. But I have decided there's no way I am going to write Remember the Giver, even though that's the name of the pattern, when I can write the beehive. Oh, and then I have to hang it here somewhere, huh? Yeah. Oh. So many creations. But yes, so I'm going to do that. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is also my little, I got this block of the month, which I know sometimes it seems like block of the months are expensive than if you just bought the pattern and used your own stash. If you have a stash that would cover and complement a pattern, that is the, I don't know if that's the more affordable way because you spent all that money on that stash. But in the, let me see here, in the little kits, you get little amounts of fabric. So instead of paying for like a whole quarter yard of fabric, of wool, when you only need a piece this big. And so sure, they're including the labor for whoever's cutting up these tiny little pieces. But in the end, it's kind of more efficient for me on certain projects. I have tons of wool, and whenever like on this particular block, I had all of this wool left. I'll save that for when I do a pattern that I didn't buy as a kit, which does happen in the beehive. The other thing is not every single piece of wool is attractive to me, to my own sensibility. It's chosen perfectly for the project, but then I get my little busy bee brain, and so the wool, the white wool that was chosen for this particular block was too white for me. So I kind of dug through my little stash and found a more creamier color white, which I think works better in my mind for this, and I used that. And then I stuck the piece that came with it back in the bin. So that's what I guess my message today is flexibility, and it's your project. So do what you want to do. But this press and seal really is an awesome, works out awesome for script onto your projects. So especially if you want it to be, you know, the same size letters all the way across and that kind of thing. So now I have to figure out how I'm going to do the beehive on this block, because that is exactly what I'm going to put on there. And stay tuned until the next segment. I am hoping to get all of these blocks prepped before we head out camping. It's our first camping trip of the summer, and we're both really looking forward to it because we've been really busy kind of I have especially been busy getting ready for the quilt show, and then G's been non-stop editing, so that's where we're at. We're ready to kick our feet up and relax. Okay, on to the next block. Well, do I look like I've been through the ringer? Yes. So as I told you before, we're switching out our travel trailer for a van. And so I had to stop prepping my blocks and help G clean out the trailer. So, which was a good thing because I found a whole bag of my stuff in the trailer from when I went to the quilt basket in Tucson, Arizona, which was March of this year. And I had just been complaining, this is why I need a wife. I'm not a good wife. I am so disorganized. And I was just complaining to my stitch group that I couldn't find my needle roll pattern that I got from Sue Spargo, and I actually bought it at the Quilt Basket in Tucson, Arizona. And I've been looking all over for it because I want to make some. So then when I'm cleaning out the trailer, helping G clean out the trailer this morning, I find a whole basket. And I had just been pondering about where this one project was that I know I was going to make. It was in the basket too. So this whole bag was underneath the bench seat in the trailer. And what did I have in here? I had my Happy Halloween cross stitch. Isn't that adorable? I remember I thought it was adorable. So cute. So freaking cute. Oh. Quilt Folk number 9. I'll have to go downstairs and see if I have 2 of these. If I have 2 of these, this is going to go into my 12 Days of Christmas giveaway. A cross stitch hoop. I crack myself up. Yardage. I found some fabric there that has musical notes, which I love using when I make my postcards. Kind of my signature thing. There's the needle roll pattern. And then here's this adorable iron holder for my cute little iron, travel iron. And you decorate it, you know, Sue Spargo, I mean, a lot of people have this, it's by Yazzie, and a lot of people have this piece of wool attached to it with embellished circles. And when they show up to class, they're all smug. Well, you know, I made the wallet so I could show up in March in Santa Fe to Sue Spargo's class with my wallet. But just think if I could get this sucker done. So I actually am going to try to prep this strip and take it with me to embellish on the road while we're camping. But I tell you, so now the trailer is all clean, and I am back here to prep my next block of Remember the Giver. Oh, and then look what I did. Instead of putting Remember the Giver, I put the beehive on that stuff, that press and seal, and I'm going to embroider that. So that's ready to go. But now I just have to cut out these pieces for block number 3. I hope everything is wonderful in your neck of the woods. I know some places are so hot, and I'm not a humidity kind of person. I'm kind of like in the high desert right now when I read the news on what some people are having to deal with. And my girlfriend Robin, she's back visiting her son and grandchildren in Michigan, and she said She went outside to pick blueberries and lost a pound. I mean, she lost a pound just from sheer sweating. You know, that might be a good thing, but yeah, the heat. Oy vey. You know, here in Sisters, we're high desert, so very, very dry. Very dry, except when it's raining. But we're supposed to get to 90, but it's a dry heat, and the snow is melting fast up on the mountains. I can see it, and so hopefully it'll be nice camping weather. Now, as I have said before, I prep my wool projects by using soft fuse. I find that some of the other fusibles are too sticky, but maybe in your climate it would be better. I don't know. So I'm just gonna keep doing my soft fuse, and I drew my pattern pieces. The thing I hate, I hate this, I know. It's so minor in the scheme of the world, but I love designers like Buttermilk Basin who already reverse the pieces. This I realized was not reversed. Not that it makes any big deal, but sometimes it does. You have to pay attention to that. But she did not on this remember the giver pattern reverse anything, so I had to reverse everything before I traced it onto my soft fuse. So, okay, gonna keep cutting. So stay tuned. Gonna keep plugging, hopefully get all the blocks prepped before we leave on our camping trip. Prepping, prepping, prepping! It's the evening. Oh, it's actually sunset, and I can see Mount Washington and Middle Sisters. If I'm breathless, it's because G and I have been working all day. I had no clue how much stuff, I was going to say something else, how much stuff we had jammed into every nook and cranny of our camping trailer. And we had to empty it totally to take it in to trade, because we traded it in with for a van, which now our garage is full of stuff that came out of that trailer. and it's just amazing. And now this little tiny van. But I've already started loading my sewing stuff. I've been prepping, and I finished prepping all the blocks for this project. Remember the givers. Oh, it's going to be such a fun project. And now I have all 9 blocks prepped. Aren't they pretty? You already saw all the bee blocks. Those are so cute. There's 4 of those. And then there's this one. I changed that. I used that press and seal and changed that to the beehive. I'm going to embroider that. There you go. Now I just have a whole lot of stitching ahead of me. The thing about this pattern is I absolutely love this pattern. There's no two ways about it. In fact, I have several of Norma Wally's Timeless Traditions patterns because I love them. But she is, with this pattern, sometimes the drawing doesn't match this colored something exactly. So I was using the colored picture for color placement, and I took her primitive drawings and I put it on the soft views, and I realized she's adjusting as she goes, just like I do, even in her own pattern. So that's what I think I ultimately want to encourage you, is not to be discouraged when things don't look just like the designer intended, because even the designer didn't do exactly what she drew. But now I'm excited because that's all prepped, and in my sweet little project thing, God, I'm tired, aren't I? My sweet little project bag that was made by Harvest Moon by the Lake on Etsy. Love this bag. So this is going to help me get organized too. So that's it. I'm done. Gonna be heading down the road next week and camping my way north. Yeah, north. We'll see you maybe down the road. And have a wonderful rest of July. Wish it'd get a little warmer, huh? And my poor Robin is back in Michigan, where she's sweltering in the heat. So all of you people back east that are in the Midwest who are just melting, please take care and drink lots of water and stitch in air conditioning. Thanks. See you down the road.
Thanks for watching.
And be sure to like and subscribe on Quilt Roadies.